sound to go boom. Cause I own up percent every day.
What if I told you, ladies and gentlemen, that the biggest betrayal in hip-hop history actually occurred in a hotel room that no one was supposed to know about? Because just when you thought the story of Remy Ma, Papoose, and Fat Joe couldn't get any more complicated, leaked footage from a long-forgotten Miami hotel suddenly surfaced, and things don't look good for Remy. We're talking about dimly lit hallway cameras and two familiar figures sneaking past the lobby. At 2:17 a.m., Reminisce Mackey signed the check-in receipt with the name Joseph Cartagena, also known as Fat Joe. Coincidence, or the hip-hop love affair buried under Grammys and gold chains? The real twist is that Papoose himself found the footage while purging, old emails on an iPad that Remy claimed was only for music. How long did this affair last, before or during the wedding? Why has no one ever discussed it until now? We all know that Remy Ma and Fat Joe have a long history together, dating back to the Bronx streetlights and Terror Squad basement sessions. The industry referred to them as brother and sister, but behind the scenes, what we're about to discover could completely alter your perception of the Terror Squad legacy. No, I'm talking about the glitzy Grammy speeches or Instagram birthday tributes. Sibling bond was always just the public relations version of the truth, according to a source close to the crew. Remember, Remy Ma wasn't just any rapper rising through the ranks. She was Big Pun's protege, handpicked and blessed. However, when Pun passed away tragically in 2000, Fat Joe intervened like a knight in oversized denim, providing studio access, protection, and allegedly something much more personal. Their first real spark was Summer Jam 2002, according to an old security guard who worked backstage, Joan. I assumed they were married based on his behavior, but here's the real deal. Remy was secretly seeing someone else at the time. It wasn't Papoose yet, but her devotion to Joe was unquestionable, and people in the camp said it was closer than close. By 2004, Lean Back was a hit song, and the industry went crazy, but there was tension behind it. Not just creative tension, but also jealousy, secrecy, and late-night studio sessions that never ended with just music. Several insiders from the Terror Squad off the mic, it was asserted that Remy and Joe had an indisputable chemistry. One anonymous engineer stated, "There were nights they'd go in the booth and come out holding hands like we saw it, but they always shut it down if anyone brought it up." Despite this, no one was able to voice their opinions because Fat Joe was the boss and Remy was devoted to him. All that changed in 2007 when Remy Ma was arrested and given an 8-year prison sentence. Anticipated Papoose would support her, and he did, but the media failed to notice that Fat Joe was paying Remy a discreet visit outside the courtroom. There were no pictures or statements, just visits, according to Rikers Island visitor logs that were leaked, and yes, we were able to obtain those. Joseph Cartagena signed in 5 times between 2008 and 2009, all under coded aliases. The dates correspond with significant events in Remy's life, particularly the one just before she was moved to Bedford Hills. What exactly was Joe doing at correctional? According to a former prison employee, he was composed but intense, as if he had something to say. Every visit appeared emotional, while Papoose was publicly writing letters and giving interviews, promoting her name as a badge of honor. However, if the jail logs are authentic, and from what we've seen, they are legitimate, then Fat Joe was the one conducting those quiet, off-the-record visits. The question now becomes, was there something going on in that prison that even during a post-release interview, Papoose made a mistake and said, "Some people surprised me with how much they cared." No names were mentioned, just that look, and the host didn't dare ask her further. Years later, while cleaning the house, Papu finds an old iPad, the same device Remy used to write lyrics and journal her thoughts when she was first on parole. However, it turns out that one file was an anonymous tech expert who examined the metadata claims that the footage was taken from a hotel hallway camera and shows Fat Joe entering first, followed by Remy Ma seconds later. There is no entourage, makeup crew, or stylist present, and they don't appear to have left until the morning. The file name is 7th Floor Miami, the timestamp is April 3rd, 2011, and the location is Fontainebleau Hotel Miami Beach. The source close to Papoose claims that he was visibly shaken after viewing the file. Instead, he contacted someone he believed could provide him with accurate information. We'll disclose their name in the next section because, believe me, this rabbit hole is only getting started, and what we're going to uncover next could completely ruin everything you believed you knew about Remy Ma and Fat Joe. According to reports, the heir left the room when Papoose saw that 7th floor Miami clip. The man who restrained Remy Ma through trial, prison, and public humiliation is now staring. When he saw the video of her entering a hotel suite behind Fat Joe, it wasn't just heartbreak, it was betrayal wrapped in silence. But did he blow it? Up? No. That wasn't Papoose's style. He doesn't throw hands first. Instead, he throws bars, asks questions, listens, and then moves purposefully. That's what he did, according to sources, who claim he didn't even mention the video to Remy at first. Instead, he began discreetly making calls to people who had been. He then referred to her as the one person who was there for both Fat Joe and Remy Ma during those pivotal Terror Squad years, and who is no stranger to stirring things up. Remy's former stylist, whose name we won't reveal for safety, allegedly left the camp in 2012 under mysterious circumstances. Andenden said, "Oh, she sang like a bird. Joe was obsessed," she told Papoose. According to someone who overheard the conversation, it was never just music. "I saw how protective he got when he looked at her. Used to call off sessions if she wasn't present." She even asserted that there were rumors of a situation in 2006 in Puerto Rico where the crew had flown out for a show. They said that Remy and Joe were spotted on a private yacht long after the rest of the team had returned to the hotel. Now for the twist. When Papoose confronted Fat Joe in private, yes, that did happen. Joe didn't even flinch. All he said was, "It isn't what you think. Pop, but you don't. Excuse me, eyes." That's like saying, "Yeah, I buried the body, but trust me, he had it coming." What does that even mean? So what does Papoose do next? According to insiders, he goes full detective mode. He digs through old emails, old DMs, even burner accounts. And what he finds chilling? He discovers an email from 2011 addressed to a private Gmail under Remy's nickname at the time, and it reads, "Miami was different. We can't keep playing like Jay, not signed Joe, not signed Fat Joe, just Jay. You know I would do anything for you, but guess what? The email header metadata points to an IP address in the Bronx connected to an office studio leased under Terror Squad Entertainment, and they still insist it's not Joe. Meanwhile, the streets begin to talk, but not blogs, because when the rumors in the Bronx start to get loud, the truth isn't far behind. One underground podcast even released a blind item about a platinum-selling NYC rapper whose loyalty was put to the test by a queen with too many kings. Gee, I wonder who that could be. Fans? Oh, they didn't keep quiet once rumors about the footage started to circulate on Twitter, thanks to a since-deleted tweet from someone claiming to be in the circle. Screenshots flooded Reddit fan forums, and predictions were made about whether Papoose had left their shared house, but spoilers say he didn't. In the meantime, Remy remains silent in public and continues to share studio footage of himself and inspirational words such as "Iso Realis" and "Fat Joe, not a peep," not even a cryptic IG live, and "Real love stands the test of time." You can tell it's serious because Joe often talks like that. However, what transpired next transformed the whole incident from chaos to history. A fan discovered a 2005 Terror Squad DVD interview grainy film, Joe and Remy sitting together during a behind-the-scenes feature. At one point, he leans in and declares, "That's my heart. I'll ride for her till the wheels fall off." People believed it to be simple brotherly love at the time, but now that everything is coming to light, that line hits differently. Papoose is a guy of dignity who prefers to keep quiet, but this time, it's hurting him more than ever before. According to a source close to Papoose contacted an old journalist friend who had previously covered Remy's court case. He asked for clarification rather than a headline or press coverage, saying, "If I send you something, you think the world is ready for it, that's something. It just might be the full footage, not just the hotel hallway clip, but what happened after. Because the original file found on that iPad was just part 1, and the next file is called Room 714-Fold. Brace yourself, so here we are." The footage begins 4 minutes after Remy and Fat Joe enter the hotel suite. There is no music or party noises, just a dim light from the hallway camera. The footage is from room 714, the same file that allegedly turned Papoose's heart into stone. There is no screaming or yelling, just silence. A source very close to the situation claims that when a man like Papoose goes silent, it's because the pain is so deep. The audio sharpens as Joe's voice comes through first. You know what this Emi answers? It was never supposed to go this far. Those 10 words changed everything, Because if there was ever any doubt, if there was ever any gray area, that line made it black and white. It wasn't an accident, it wasn't just business, it was something real and had been hidden for a long time. The service tray remained untouched, and the voices were low but clear. Papoose allegedly hit pause on the iPad, got up, and left the room, not returning for hours. When he did return, he said nothing, but the world had already started to move, because someone, whom no one knows, had already leaked the information that Papoose had seen the video. 5 words was all it took to start the avalanche, and within a day, hip-hop media began to buzz. Radio hosts hinted at it without naming it. Bloggers danced around the edges, and a power in the meantime, Remy's social media changed overnight. The Black Love post stopped, studio updates disappeared, and she replaced her recent story post with the word sorry. There was no explanation or hashtags, just a simple sorry. Joe's team reportedly went into full lockdown mode, issuing takedowns and calling platforms to pull clips before they hit 1,000 views. As the dust settled, fans started unearthing old interviews. One clip from 2005 showed Joe sitting next to Remy, staring at her as he said, "I'll ride for her till the wheels fall off. That's my heart." Loyalty is only real when it's tested. No tags, no location, and no sign of Remy anywhere on the Bower page. At the time, it was sweet, but now that a podcast episode from almost 10 years ago resurfaced, in which a drunk fat Joe joked, if Remy ever left Papoose, she'd come home where she belongs. The audience laughed, and everyone called it banter, but now the joke feels more like a confession that no one paid attention to. And then came the real twist. According to an anonymous producer, the full footage wasn't just on the iPad Papoose. Now, that line feels loaded, had a copy saved, and someone else, no names this time, sent that copy to a private Dropbox linked to a well-known documentary production. That's right, a documentary is already allegedly in the works, with 4 parts under the working title, Remy and Joe, The Real Story. This isn't just a blog post anymore, it's evolving into permanently archival streaming content, and industry insiders are already in a panic. A representative from a major brand who had been negotiating with Remy for a haircare line reportedly canceled the deal. The firm disassociated itself from Fat Joe's forthcoming concert tour. Behind closed doors, teams are searching the internet, consulting attorneys, and issuing blanket non-disclosure agreements to anyone even remotely involved. However, it wasn't just about business, it was about legacy, and that legacy was shaken. Remy Ma was supposed to be the comeback queen, the warrior who defeated the system, and she stood tall next to her king. Fat Joe was the unflappable Bronx general who helped build and rebuild careers. And Papoose wasn't just a rapper. He was a symbol of loyalty, the man who waited, the man who forgave, the man who married Remy while she was in prison. Their story was a fairy tale in a genre full of heartbreak, and now it's just another cautionary tale. According to reports, Papoose has moved into a new apartment in Midtown. He's been seen at open mic nights with just himself and a notebook. No ring, no entourage, planning a live performance soon. And if the video was on an old iPad, if there were emails from more than 10 years ago, or if insiders had been whispering about the Puerto Rico yacht night since 2006, then it wasn't a one-time error. Rather, it was a long-standing secret, with a long list of people who helped keep it quiet. And that's what's breaking fans' hearts more than anything else. However, the question now isn't just did it happen, but how long has everyone known? Betrayal of one man. It was a betrayal of every fan who trusted what they stood for, and every woman who said, I want to love like Remy and Pap. Every artist who looked up to Fat Joe as the epitome of loyalty and mentorship. Every individual who believed that, perhaps, just possibly, there are still people alive, because the silence that follows the surface of a hotel footage file called Room 714 is never innocent. It's planned, protected, and dangerous. It's up to them now. But the world has seen enough to know that this isn't even close to the end of the story. Now, the question that haunts everything we've just discovered is, was it ever real? Was Black love a front? Was Fat Joe always more than a mentor? Has Remy Ma been leading a double life all along, shielded by silence, loyalty, and the myth of family? Because when the footage leaks, the files are backed up, and the DMs trace back to Terror Squad IPs, it's no longer a rumor. It's a revelation. Not even close to the end of the story. Fat Joe has yet to speak, Remy's apology post disappeared, and Papoose is sitting silently so loudly that the entire internet can hear it. Now, we turn to you. Do you think this was a one-time error, or has it been years in the making? Was Papoose really caught off guard, or did he know all along and choose to protect Remy's image? If this Does series really drops, what else is hidden in the footage they haven't shown yet? Please share your theories in the comments section. And enable notifications, as this rabbit hole is deep, and believe me, we have only just begun to explore it. The next, it could leak in a few days, so be prepared. Be prepared.